Welcome back to Nerd Night Patreon. Extra nerdy, too hot for podcasts. Patreon special. How Leggz got his legs swept from underneath him. In this edition of the Nerd Night Podcast, extra bits, if you will, we will examine how evil a person can be. And in this examination, I hope you understand how you should never treat somebody who literally tried to bend over backwards to help you. I'm telling this from a very objective point of view because I never slept with this person. I met her, and unfortunately, I thought that maybe it could be awesome at one point in time. But what ended up happening was, Justin, when did you meet this lady?
I believe that would have been February, beginning of March, something like that.
Beginning of March time frame. So we're about 6 months out, right? Well, 5 months out. All right. Mm-hmm. They had a good time. Got together. Started talking it up, doing their thing. Justin had decided that he wanted to buy a house closer to here to be closer to the VA, which is it's important for him and his health care to be closer because, of course, as you know, he has ailments, if you will. And when he decided to move here, he also made the decision to let his lady friend move in. Now, let me preface it with this. His lady friend came with a lot of extras. Those extras included how many cats, Justin?
4 then.
4 of them cats, 2 of them children, and 1 attitude that was insurmountable. Now,
some would even say
we haven't gotten there yet, though.
Some would even say insufferable. Yes. Now, I will begin this story not by up until then when they decided to move in, but the day of moving in, aka the day of reckoning. Justin called me frantic. I can't remember what time it was, but I remember I did not get enough sleep because me and Heels had worked the night before, saying, "Jeff, please help." I said, "What's going on?" He said, "Well, this person had a moving party." And I guess that's a normal way for like white people to fucking get together, and they get paid with pizza and beer and camaraderie to come over and help pack things up, move and whatnot, right? No big deal. So no one showed up to help that person. So Justin called me and said, "Hey, is there any chance whatsoever that you and yours could help?" Now, we love Justin very much. So I, by proxy, initiated the help of Oz, myself, my wife, and our other brother, the boss, to help out. And I also hired a good friend of ours to go with her back to where she lived so that he could help her get the rest of her stuff to get back over here. During this time, me and Oz had noticed, and the boss, of course, that she was, what's the word? Give me a word. Give me a word for her attitude. Go ahead.
High strung.
High strung. That's a good word. How about you, Oz? You got a word for it?
Puce.
Good word. And what we had noticed is that
Google that after
there was a lot of it's a color. Don't worry about it. There was a lot of back and forth between her and Justin about what she had to do versus normal moving stuff. Yeah, it's stressful, but at the same time, you have a brand new house, you have brand new opportunities. It's supposed to be fun. But at the same time, it's supposed to be stressful because nobody likes to move. But at the same time, these are new opportunities. It's supposed to be awesome. It's supposed to be nice, especially with the caliber of place that you're going to versus where you came from and who you're moving in with. Because let's face it, Leggz is a wonderful guy. That's why we wanted to help him. What we did was we helped, and we passed it off, including Justin, as her being high strung and stressed out due to the move. Very soon after this happened, we had noticed that high-strung attitude and overzealousness to be just berating, if you will, did not stop and did not quit. And what could be brushed off as, just, somebody's attitude and a pro versus con type situation actually ended up turning into Justin hanging out at our house a lot more than somebody who just moved into a brand new fucking house. What he chalked it up to be,
Which is
Heels.
literally the nicest one that I've ever lived in.
Right. What he chalked it up to be, Heels, because I guess this is Heels' first time hearing the entire story, is that she didn't want him to be in the way while she got the house ready. And he understood that because technically, while he wanted to help on a technicality, there's not really much that he can help with. But he tried, right? And he would try to do the things that he could do, but nothing was good enough. And he tried to do, help out, but nothing was good enough. So he'd hang out at our house. And that was perfectly fine, no big deal. But what it turned into was an accusation of him being around our house as to not want to help him, to not want to help with the new house, and to not want to help with the new and to not want to help with the children or any of the responsibilities that they had. Now keep in mind, the man's paying the mortgage on the house, and he got the house, and he invited this person and all of hers to his house. Now, of course, I'm going to explain some of the red flags we probably should have brought up before, but at the same time, you can probably chalk it up to love or strong affection or just wanting to care about somebody. The second that he moved in here, he had to surrender one of his animals because, he had to surrender one of his animals due to the fact that she did not want that rambunctious animal around her small children. Now, while you're looking at me crazy, he was totally understanding of that because he loved this woman and he didn't want any like threat or anything like that or any harm to come to him because, this animal did have a tendency to be kind of rambunctious and whatnot. So he did that. And he called me and he said, Jeff, is it possible that you could take my other animal so that everything, things could be done? No excuse needed. We took it. No problem, right? And of course, we're still chalking it up to the fact that, not necessarily a new relationship, but new house, trying to get into, the pattern of things. But it started turning into a weird case-by-case description of a constant Justin's not doing good enough and Justin's friends are selfish and Justin doesn't spend any time with me and Justin refuses to take any responsibility and Justin just doesn't understand how to be an adult, and that's why he constantly hangs around with other people who have the same mindset, and that's why that's why A, B, and C all the way to Z type situation. When this happened,
The story. Stop trying to be friends with the women your guy friends put their penis.
that's a different too hot for a podcast story.
Stop putting their penises in my friends.
They weren't your friends to begin with.
That's true. He's got a point there.
I said, don't fuck this up. And you stuck the penis
Which one?
in.
So we'll get back to the story we're telling.
I don't know who.
Okay. And because of such, one day, and this is where it all culminated to Justin being fed up. Justin shows up at my house. He had already told me he couldn't hang out. He wanted to get a couple cords. He shows up at my house, and the man is literally broken. He shows up at my house, and he says, Jeff, I don't know what to do. I said, what are you talking about? We talk about it for a while, and it turns out that for the longest time, this woman was continuously berating and degrading and demoralizing to this gentleman to the point to where he was literally willing to show me via text message everything that she had said up until then, and it just didn't make any sense. And I said, Justin, for Rizzles, this needs to stop. This ends here. I did, didn't I say it, Justin? I said, for Rizzles,
he's like, you're not going back home.
you're not go. I said, you're not going back home. You're
I think he
staying
said
here.
realsies.
Yeah. For realsies. For realsies. You're not going back home. This is what you're doing. You're going to tell her that you need some time, and that's 100% understandable. And you're just going to stay with us for a couple days, because this doesn't make any sense. You guys are in a brand new relationship. Obviously, there aren't any ground rules or any foundation for what's going on, and she might still be stressed because of her job and all this stuff. But it literally has nothing to do with you, and it has more to do with the things that you provided versus the things that, in her mind or mindset, mentality, whatever the case may be, have not provided. So he stays in my house. I'm talking about a barrage of text messages until he turned off his notifications. And then a barrage of text messages to my phone telling, me what was going on and how, and all this kind of stuff. So Ozzy says this needs to stop. I say this needs to stop. Go ahead.
Then she also texted one of my best friends in Seattle.
Right. Takes his friends and his family about.
Then she continued to text my sister-in-law.
Right. So I said, me and Ozzy come to an agreement. Hey, we need to take him to his house. We need to get some stuff. He comes inside, and this person literally acts like all the things that were said and all the accusations, all that stuff didn't happen, and tries to pull the "why aren't you talking to me" card, or "why aren't you acknowledging me" card. And so Justin, quote unquote, no pun intended, stands up for himself and says, I think you need to find another place to stay. This isn't working. I'm not understanding. And from that moment, he had said that he brought up that that up until then, there have been many instances in which he said he didn't like the way he talked to her. He didn't like the way that his children had that one of her children had treated him. That there were so many different things that were going on that he didn't appreciate, that she did not acknowledge. Every single thing that he brought up, every single thing he recollected, every single thing that he remembered her saying or remembered him saying was completely wrong. By the end of the conversation, Oz was totally fed up and said, listen, this obviously is not working. And then she brought up, are y'all laughing at me? Or are you... The greatest that came out of Oz's mouth, because we didn't want to gang up on the poor girl, was like, listen, you guys quite literally just have to stop talking to each other like this. And the most unfortunate thing is how she was bringing up, and this is what really threw Ozzy off. She was bringing up a past relationship as if that had to do anything with Justin. And he said, in very few words compared to the many that he put out there, that it doesn't have dick to do with Justin, and nor should it ever. And bringing that to the forefront is quite literally letting her past rule her future. And from that point, I said, listen, we've already been mediating for like an hour and a half now. We have to leave. I have to go get my son from my wife at her job. And we're taking our friend with us because we're not leaving him here. From that point on, he came to my house. Okay? He came to my house, and we're talking about, how long was it, Justin?
3 weeks.
3 weeks. Because Austin was about the same amount of time. Yeah. That's another story for 2 Hour Podcast. He comes to our house. He tells her, hey, listen, I'm going to give you this amount of time. I'll give you resources. I'll help. I'll do whatever you need. Just, this isn't working, yada, yada, blah, blah. After a week, she stops, trying to reconvince him and trying to, change his mind about things. No big deal. Weeks go by.
And I would legit was like, oh, okay. Like,
and they see
finally
you
like
too?
A full day of not getting like, I'm like, yo, I'm dyslexic.
Like
bro.
a 1,000
fucking...
text messages about like, why aren't you thinking? Why are you acting like this? All that kind of stuff.
I'm like,
so then Justin has an appointment that's set by, I guess, the VA to help him put the ramps in, the ones that you see at the doors and stuff. She reschedules it or tells him to reschedule
The
it.
day before, she said she had COVID.
Right. So she said she had COVID.
Rescheduled.
Right. He needed to reschedule it. No big deal. So all he wanted to do the next day was come by, get some catheters. He needed some catheters and he needed some clothes and yada, yada, blah, blah. Right. We come by. He calls her because he's just trying to let her know, hey, Jeff's going to come in. He's going to get some stuff. No big deal. She replies with, I'm not there. Why? You know, I told you I'm not there. First and foremost, she did not tell us that. So another red flag. Like, you didn't tell us that you weren't there. In fact, you told us to reschedule an appointment. So I come in and I'm telling you, compared to what you see now, there was nothing in this house. There was nothing on the kitchen counter, nothing. I come in and I have my mask on because I was assuming that the COVID thing was real. The only thing that I see in this house, because I open every door because I just want to see, I notice that there's nothing in the cabinets, nothing's in the pantry, the closet's empty. I go upstairs. His stuff is in one closet, nice and neat and pat, his medicine stuff. His memorabilia stuff is in another closet in another room, but other than that, everything else is gone. So I go outside and Justin's still in the truck, and I told him to stay in the truck just in case there was an actual COVID scare. And I'm like, let me open the garage, see what's going on. This woman, no lie, left bags of trash. And I'm not talking about like normal household stuff, like rotten fucking shit in his garbage with the door closed in the middle of the summer. So the garage already smells horrendous. All over the garage and the driveway was nothing but wet cat food. So ants have amassed around this area. And luckily, it had only been for a couple days. Otherwise, they would have gotten into the house. I'm looking for a broom because normally you would think there's at least got to be a fucking broom here. There's no broom. There's nothing for me to clean this shit up with. I take Oz. I take him to Walmart, which is luckily right down the road. Oz runs in, gets our broom, comes back out. We get the cat food up. We try to get the garbage in, you know, and I tell Justin, please don't go in the house without me. Because I already know, I kind of know what's going to happen. I just know. So Justin, being the smart guy and saying, I'm going to go. I don't give a shit.
No.
That's exactly what you did. Don't even act
way
like
too far forward.
I'm not going too far forward.
I didn't do that until the ramp people came back out.
It was 3 days later.
Yeah, that was they came back
Right,
out.
yeah.
I wasn't doing
He
that.
literally
had to be here for the appointment.
He didn't tell me about the appointment.
I did.
He left my house.
No, I told him about it.
And he
I told him
came
about
here.
that shit.
I was asleep.
He's like,
for
don't
work.
go in. I was like, all right, I won't. And then I was like, okay. And then I had to come in to let them in. I'm like, well, shit, I'm already in here.
He
like,
came in.
I can't fucking not look.
He came in and he took a very short inventory of the things that were left.
I was like, oh, God. Okay.
He looked in every drawer, he looked in every cabinet, he looked in every closet. I mean, the petty things is what really get, like the wet cat food, it got left behind when she moved, whatever.
All right, before you
the
continue,
garbage, whatever. What? Go ahead.
So before you continue,
I will. Oh yeah, go
the
ahead.
day I did come over, they installed my ramps.
Yes.
And I was like, well, I have a baseball bat signed by Derek Jeter.
The worst player ever.
Yeah. Eat a dick. So I'm like, well, I need to go see if that motherfucker's here.
Right.
Like, I need to know anything else she took, whatever. But if
wait a minute. We skipped. There was a text message or a phone conversation, I can't remember, where she said, I needed money, so I sold everything. I sold most of the things that I had, or I didn't have room for them, or
she's
something
like, yeah.
that.
She's like, yeah, I didn't have room for whatever, so I sold it.
I sold it. Right. Now we move forward. Now we move forward to you looking for stuff.
All right, so I'm like, well, let me go find my shit upstairs and see if I still have it.
Right.
I get up there, the bat's there. I'm like, okay, before I get to the bat, sorry. I get to the top of the stairs. At the top of the stairs, because I'm paralyzed,
Yes.
I keep another wheelchair. I
Yes.
have one at the top of the stairs, at the bottom of the stairs. I can walk up the stairs, but I can't walk down the hallway without holding on to anything, and I can't hold on to nothing.
Right.
So I get up there, there's no wheelchair. I'm like, what the fuck? So I end up having to crawl to the opposite side of the house to get my wheelchair because it had been stored in there. And not only was it stored in there, it's a collapsible wheelchair. She had folded it up. And I'm just like,
On the other side of the house.
I'm like, are you fucking kidding? Like,
I only laughed because I was a part of this story. It's
bro,
not funny.
man,
but
I was
still.
so mad.
Right.
And it's not like everybody's like, well, you know, it's gonna be okay. And I'm like, no, I don't. It's
No,
not.
don't be like that. Who was saying that the whole time?
No. I'm
Who
not
was
talking-
saying that the whole time?
No, shut up.
It was definitely me.
Shut up.
It's just stuff.
Shut up. I'm talking about as far as emotionally. Like
Yes.
my family are like, it's gonna be okay, honey. It's gonna be okay. And I'm like, I don't even care like that. It's not about this. Like the random shit, like taking the pen out of a gorilla cart. So
Yeah,
that when
so
I go
he
to
can't
pull it,
take the
it
trash
fucking
to the
falls
road.
apart.
Yeah.
Like that's ridiculous.
She took the pen out of a gorilla cart so he can't take his own trash to the road.
There's so much petty
The
shit.
petty
She
things.
took my toolbox.
Yeah.
She took it apart out of my
Out of the
out of my
garage.
garage, brought it in the house, put it back together, wheeled it in the closet.
Right. Because he can't move it. So
Sorry, bro.
petty shit, right?
Ridiculous.
She took all the face plates from upstairs. She threw his pots and pans away. I was able to salvage some of them. I had to buy silverware. I had to buy cups. I had to buy plates. I had to buy stuff to cook with. I had to buy food. She took all the food out of the pantry. We can't find his laptop. She took all the power cords to all 3 TVs that he had. I can't find most of the cords for some of the personal stuff that he had, like his Go XLR. And that's what I'm saying. His laptop, there's so many things that we're finding.
Gaming laptop.
All right. So
Like,
this is where the pettiness like really starts showing. Another big part is that we come here and he's part of an HOA here. So he has to keep his yard up to date, right? His yard is like this high. It's up to my knees. So this woman literally made planters in the backyard. They were nice, and they had potting soil, and they had everything in them, and they had really nice manure, all types of good stuff. And they had plants actually growing. She ripped out all of the plants and threw them beside the planter to rot beside the planter. So I had to call my nephew, who's part of a lawn service. Thank you, Noah, for your support.
you're
And
man.
literally
You're fucking hilarious.
get him to come by. And then I had to literally explain hey man, this is an emergency. I don't want him to get a letter, and I don't want him to get, in trouble with his HOA. Please come to his house. Please cut his yard. Please put the rocks back that she took out of the beds next to his house. She took the rocks out of the bed and put potting soil down, but left the rocks in front of the garage. She left the gorilla cart out by the garage, just left things
With 2 giant planters.
with
in it.
2 giant planters in them.
And then I get the planters out,
Yeah.
and then the wheel falls off because it was fucking.
Yeah, the pin was
That was
out.
out.
Yeah, she
Yeah.
did. She fucking
Oh,
Kevin.
not only did she booby
she
trap,
Kevin
she put the 2
McAllistered
biggest
him.
planters. She took the 2 biggest planters out of the backyard, put them in that fucking cart, brought them up front, put them in the garage, took the pan out, so that then the 2 biggest planters were in there, so I couldn't get it out.
She totally home alone.
And then once I got it out, it fucking fell apart anyway.
She Kevin McAllistered him.
I want to know how long all this took. I want to know how much effort was put into this.
She had contacted the person that I had contacted to help her, to re-help her. And he contacted me, and he was like, dude, what's going on? I said, just say no. Just say no. And he said no. He said he had to work. And technically that was true, but he would have still helped for money. But at the same time, it was one of those situations to where I'm telling you, if you're seeing this is the first time that Heels and Dragon Lady are seeing the house. But everything that they see is stuff that we've had to replace.
Literally everything in here.
She made him get rid of his couch, animals.
My couch.
Certain things that he
two
had.
Couches. I got rid of both
She
of them.
said it
because they
wasn't
smelled
good
like
enough.
dog.
Yeah.
Like dogs. I'm a cat person. You know what? If you're purely a cat person and you don't like dogs and you just specifically hate dogs, fuck you. Sorry. Thank you for paying for this Patreon, but
A
fuck
cat
you.
killed me.
I don't hate cats.
But
I'm
like,
just
yeah,
salty. I had to get rid of my fucking shit for 5
the amount of
seconds.
petty. She had all the bills in her name, so she let the water cut off. So I took a shit upstairs, not knowing. I did. Hold on. I did a safety flush. I said, okay, it's working. I didn't. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I didn't have another flush.
That'll
So I
do.
had to go back to Walmart to get 3 gallons of water. Shut up, fucking dragon lady. And I had to pour the water in, and then I had to flush it. By that time, it was absolutely just rank. Yeah, fuck, it was terrible. She did random neurotic things like you see how this is all painted. Like we did this. Like that black she had done, but all of this unpainted stuff we have to redo, and we have to make all nice and stuff. Just absolute petty stuff. Yeah. He picked out the gray, and I thought that this was a very nice, like monochromatic type. It's really nice with the lights, and it'll be really nice with the foam that we're putting in here. But yeah, like that stuff right there, and all that unpainted stuff down the hall, and upstairs, it's even worse. Like, yeah, just who knows why? I realize that, but like to do what she did, and like, you know what I'm saying? Why not just start somewhere and finish that place? You know what I mean? It has nothing. I get being scatterbrained, but at the same time, you see it every day, and you're like, well, shit, maybe I should do something about this. There you go.
it'll be fine.
Fuck it, I'll do it tomorrow. That's what me and Hills do at work. But especially if it's the
Somebody
weekend.
brings it up.
Especially if it's the weekend. Oh, I totally forgot to do that note. Let me do this note.
What are they gonna do? Get out of bed and complain?
Yeah. But like, yeah.
That's exactly how it was. I'd bring it up. I'm like, well, why are you doing that when this over here? I need to do this. And I'm like, hey, well, like, and then she'd complain about something else not being done. I'm like,
Right.
how can you start?
Just today, we found out that his, like, you see that MSI? That's my MSI. His MSI is not working. We don't know how, because it was working. My nice monitor. MSIs are like really nice monitors.
Yeah.
Just in case you didn't hear what Dragon Lady said, she said after the night that she had met her, she said we need to just keep checking on Justin because she was afraid that like something was gonna happen. It was a personality clash between everybody that he cared about versus her. It was awkward. Like we all get along. We all try to have a good time.
let's call it what it was. It wasn't a personality clash. It was abuse.
No.
It was abuse.
No. I get that. But here's the thing: nobody until he had like
so strange hearing it being called abuse, though. It just doesn't.
no.
It's abuse.
But let me clarify.
I don't know.
I didn't know about it. Nobody knew about it.
Right.
It was one of those things he literally had to show me because I'm just thinking she's a strong-willed asshole. We're all strong-willed assholes,
Right.
and on a technicality, she was just really strong, and the way that she would talk about it, and so when it would come to how she would talk to him. Sometimes you would think that it wasn't as real as it was because, Justin can be just as brash at times, but the conversations would get to where it was super personal and super like against him as opposed to just being like, fun, playful, asshole type stuff.
Yeah.
But I only saw it when she wasn't around me, when he showed me the text messages. And when me and Ozzy were here and we had seen how she reacted while we were around versus what she would say, like thinking that we didn't see it was the most awkward part because of course she's not going to do it while there's like evidence that somebody can recollect or recall because they're there and they can't be blamed for their short-term memory loss like he has. But at the same time, it was like, dude, all you are is excuses right now, 100%. And then the text messages that followed, because he would just take his phone and fucking throw it at me. Be like, hey, look, read this one. It'd be a fucking book. Fucking goddamn book. Of some shit to read about, how he's just, how he does.
You told me every time you went over to do the podcast, you lied to me, and I'm like, about fucking
About what?
bro.
We have evidence.
Like,
Like
I'm literally on a fucking podcast. Like, it's recorded, bro.
Right.
What do you mean?
you can see it or you can listen.
I have the goddamn receipts. It's posted. What are you
Right.
fucking talking
What do you want me
about?
to do? Like Dragon Lady had said, one of the biggest things that she had mentioned during the mediation with me and Ozzy was that she wanted him to be friend, like the boy's friend, purely because he didn't want the boy to go back to his dad and say that he was mean to him. So she wanted him to be his friend. And she said, no, make me the asshole. Like, no, that's not how a relationship works. That's not how, guidance works. That's not how rearing works, And nothing was good enough. I mean, the moral of the story is like, take a little more time, set some ground rules, get to know somebody, get to know what you're getting into. Cause like, golly, what a journey. And he moved here in like the end of May. And I'm telling you, like from when she moved in, I mean, all the stuff that was piled up for like weeks when we would come by and just pick Justin up was just absolute like, well, where the hell is he going to move around at? Like he's in a fucking wheelchair. And then when she left, it was just completely cleared out. Completely. Just a meanie face. Absolute fucking wasted time. Good riddance to bad people. And Justin, do you have anything to add?
If you want to donate to me directly, it's Venmo